Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post-closing ceremony. My name is Michael Kelly, and joining us this evening from the Royal Australian Air Force is Warrant Officer Jared Goff. We warmly welcome the family of Corporal Roy Ernest Andrews, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching this broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. Could I please ask you to stand and join in singing the national anthem? The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the name of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Roy Ernest Andrews. Roy Andrews was born on the 25th of March 1916 to Ernest and Myrtle Andrews of Portland, Victoria. He attended Portland Higher Elementary School and then worked around Portland and Dimboola as a wireman and shift electrician. Andrews enlisted with the Royal Australian Air Force in July 1940 in Melbourne. As he was working in a reserved occupation and needed the permission of his employer, he secured letters from the Borough of Portland Electricity Supply and the Dimboola Powerhouse, which both reported that Andrews was very keen on becoming an electrical mechanic. Despite just failing the practical experience of his trade test, he was ranked suitable as an electrical trainee. He was sent for technical training in West Melbourne and then trade training at Point Cook. In February 1941, he joined No. 2 Squadron at Laverton and worked as an electrical fitter. In early December 1941, shortly before Japan's entry to the war, No. 2 Squadron moved to Darwin, where it deployed detachments to the islands to Australia's north, including Timor in the Dutch East Indies. Andrews was promoted shortly after this move, given the rank of Corporal on the 1st of January 1942. By mid-February, it was clear that the Japanese invasion was imminent. The surviving aircraft of No. 2 Squadron, which had flown several missions against Japanese bases and shipping, were dispatched to Darwin. When the Japanese invaded Timor on the 20th of February, Corporal Andrews was one of 29 ground staff who volunteered to stay behind to provide radio contact and destroy equipment and stores. Taking to the hills of Timor, the group were confronted by the challenge of evading the Japanese while finding food, coping with the ravages of malaria, tropical ulcers and malnutrition. Once the fittest of the group, by April, Andrews' health began to deteriorate. He eventually lapsed into unconsciousness, dying in his sleep on the night of the 13th of April, 1942, 4 days before the group was rescued by the US submarine Sea Raven. Originally buried under a tree at Tauakoi on Timor, his body was later reburied at Ambon War Cemetery. Roy Andrews was 26 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A group portrait is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. Corporal Andrews is located third from the left in the bottom row. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal Roy Ernest Andrews, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozier or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they'll be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for your visiting today and wish you a safe trip home. Good evening.